The 360 FPV drone is a bullshit. Did we really feel the need to put a 360 camera on an FPV drone? Important disclaimer, I've never flown one, and honestly, I have absolutely no intention of buying one. So I'm not here to talk about image quality, battery life, stabilization or technical specification. Maybe it works incredibly well, maybe the technology is amazing. That's not my problem. My problem is the entire concept behind it. A 360 FPV drone allows you to fly while recording practically everything happening around the drone and only decide where the viewer should look afterwards. You can fly without really worrying about the framing. You go home, open your computer, move the viewpoint around and build the shot in post-production. Convenient, spectacular, but to me it makes absolutely no sense because the beauty of FPV is precisely that you cannot decide afterwards. You have to decide now while you're flying. You have to choose the trajectory, the altitude, the angle and the speed. You need to know where the drone will go, where the subject will be and exactly what the camera will see at every single moment. You are not simply piloting a flying object, you are drawing a shot through space. The movement of the drone is the movement of the camera. The flight is the shot, and that limitation is exactly what makes FPV so fascinating to me. With a 360 camera, those two things become separated. The drone can fly in one direction while in post-production the camera looks somewhere else entirely. The trajectory no longer necessarily matches the framing, and the moment you separate the flight from the shot, I think you lose a fundamental part of what FPV actually is. Because if I can fix everything afterwards, I'm no longer forced to find the perfect line beforehand. And if I don't have to find the perfect line, why should I spend hours studying a location? Why should I observe the terrain, imagine every turn, so work out exactly where to descend, calculate the precise moment to begin a rotation so the subject appears exactly where I want in the frame? Why should I attempt the same line 10, 20 or 50 times? Of course, you still need to know how to fly a 360 FPV drone. I'm not saying the drone flies itself, but it completely changes the relationship between the pilot and the frame. Reframing in post-production reduces the risk of getting the composition wrong, and in certain situations that can be an enormous advantage. But when you remove the risk, you also risk removing part of the creativity, because creativity doesn't only come from freedom. Very often it comes from limitation. It comes from having to fit every element inside one single frame, from being unable to correct a badly executed turn. From knowing that if you tilt the drone just a few degrees too far, the subject will leave the frame and the entire shot will have to be repeated. That tension forces you to improve. That difficulty forces you to find a solution, and that process is what makes it so satisfying when you finally capture the perfect fly. Because you didn't simply record a scene, you imagined it. You studied it, you attempted it, you failed, and eventually you executed it exactly as you had pictured it in your head. The adrenaline you feel when you nail a trajectory doesn't only come from flying close to an obstacle, it comes from everything happening at exactly the right moment. The speed was right, the rotation was right, the altitude was right, the subject entered the frame at exactly the moment it was supposed to. And you know, it didn't happen by accident. You created that moment through the way you flow. You cannot recreate that feeling by rotating an image with the mouse once you get home. You can create a beautiful image, you can produce a movement that you would have been impossible with a traditional camera. You can even rescue a shot that you would otherwise have thrown away. But it isn't the same thing. Of course, a 360 FPV drone can be useful, it can save an unrepeatable shot, it can be perfect for commercial production where delivering the result is more important than the purity of the process. It can give the client more options, it can allow you to choose a completely different composition afterwards. And I'm sure we are going to see incredible images created with these drones. But the question I keep asking myself is this: will those images be spectacular because of the flight or because of the reframe? Because there is a huge difference. In the first case, the camera shows exactly what the pilot constructed through space. In the second, the pilot collects visual material and the actual shot is constructed afterwards in front of a computer. That isn't necessarily worse. It's simply something different, and that is why calling it the future of FPV or the evolution of FPV feels a little forced to me. Maybe we have reached a point of stagnation. Drones already fly incredibly well, the cameras have reached an incredible level of quality, the stabilization is impressive, the batteries last longer and longer, the safety systems are becoming more advanced. So companies constantly need to find a new reason to sell another drone, more sensors, more automation, more intelligent modes, more opportunities to correct our mistakes. But there is a problem. Every time we eliminate the possibility of making a mistake, we also risk eliminating a skill that was previously necessary. If the technology corrects the framing, we are no longer need to be as precise. If it records everything, we no longer have to choose where to look. If we can decide afterwards, we no longer have to take responsibility for deciding during the flight. And when technology begins making more and more decisions for us, the result risks becoming technically perfect but completely anonymous. Because if everyone can record in every direction and choose the framing afterwards, the difference will no longer be defined only by how you fly, it will be defined mainly by how you reframe and edit the footage. At that point, you are no longer only an FPV pilot creating an image through the way you fly, you are an operator carrying a camera through space, is capable of recording everything, hoping to find the best shot once you are sitting in front of your computer. And to be clear, I'm not saying that has no value, I'm saying that it has a different value. Personally, I would rather get a trajectory wrong, I would rather repeat the same fly 20 times. I would rather to come home without the shot and knowing exactly where I went wrong and what I need to improve. Because that process is exactly what makes me want to go out and try again. If I knew I could always fix everything afterwards, I would probably lose part of the reason why I love flying FPV. I love FPV because it forces me to be present. I cannot think I'll fix it later. I cannot postpone the decisions, and every moment is a choice. Every turn has a consequence. Every mistake remains inside the shot, and that is exactly what makes a successful flight so satisfying. So yes, the 360 FPV drone is probably an incredible piece of technology, and I'm sure people will use it to create spectacular images, but to me it is a bullshit. Not because it makes filming easier, not because the people using it don't know how to fly, and not because reframing is something wrong, but because it risks removing the one thing that makes FPV special, the need to choose. to choose before you take off, to choose while you're flying, to choose the trajectory, the framing, and the moment. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. This is just a talk about a topic that I really feel, because I use FPV almost every day for my shots, for my work. I'm a videographer, a landscape videographer, and FPV is a really important part of my work. So I'm always thinking about what makes our work unique, how I can give my perspective, my vision, my ideas inside my work, trying to be different from anyone else. and it's difficult because in this world almost everyone can make a good shot, okay, can make a good shot. So I think that the really important thing in our work is our ideas, our mind, our way to see the world, to think about the product we want to obtain. So yes, technology is great, but not in every, but I think that sometimes it is going to level our work, to level our way of thinking, to level our results, to make everything the same. So bye, and see you in the next one.